Several Japanese freighters are obliterated without mercy, prompting survivors and witnesses to wonder what has caused these disasters. The locals of Odo Island speak of an ancient sea creature who has returned to eat humanity after exhausting the fish supply. That creature is real, and it has been awakened from its slumber due to extensive hydrogen bomb testing. What began as an allegory for atomic fallout has morphed into one of the most enduring franchises of all time, with its 38th film overall set for release this Friday. And it's all thanks to Godzilla. I'm Connor Eyzaguirre,
I'm Caleb J.
and this is Filmgazm. Welcome to the Filmgazm podcast. This year is the 70th anniversary of Godzilla, Japan's most recognizable pop culture icon. The latest American film, Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire, hits theaters on Friday, and we wanted to go back to the beginning and discuss the 1954 original film that started it all. So I know you and I have not exhausted the entire franchise. That's still quite a daunting endeavor we've yet to embark on. But I know we've seen a good chunk of these, at least a manageable chunk. So I'm curious, what is your history thus far with the Godzilla franchise?
As far as the original Japanese run of films, I used to watch them on TV as a kid. I think like Sci-Fi Channel or one of those channels used to show them all the time,
Mhm.
but they would show it with the dubs. So like it was the horrendous like talking, and then they would stop talking, but the American actor would keep going. It was terrible. But as a kid, I thought it was hilarious because I was a kid, and my dad would watch them with me. So it was like the thing me and my dad would watch together was the old Godzilla films on like the Sci-Fi Channel, and have a good time watching those with the horrendous dubs. Um, and then as a kid, I was a kid. No one come at me. I enjoyed the '90s remake with Matthew Broderick, but again, let me preface: I was a child. As I got older, that was one of the few ones where like the nostalgia glasses wore off, and I went, "Oh God, this was terrible. What did I like about this as a kid?" And then I'm pretty on board with the MonsterVerse since it started, since Toho trusted American studios with this franchise again. But yeah, since I was a kid, used to love watching the originals on TV all the time. I got a kick out of them and the bad dubs, and it's just something I've enjoyed since, really.
It is weird how America has consistently, since the mid 50s, just bastardized Godzilla any chance it could get, whether it's remaking the movies to make them a little bit more American or dubbing over with terrible dub actors who don't give a fuck about the source. It is really funny. For the 98 remake, I've seen it a dozen times. I had it on DVD as a kid. I like it's one of those so bad it's good movies where I'll throw it on if I need to laugh. More than anything from that movie, I remember the scene that flashes through my head more than anything is when Jean Reno is he's like French FBI or something in that. And the guys like one of his guys comes back with like the coffee order and Jean Reno reaches into the bag and pulls out a donut and he goes, "No croissant." I'm like, yeah, I get it. He's French. Jesus Christ. It's too much. It's too much. And he's like, "Oh, they call this coffee. Oh my God." Come on. Yeah, he's French. I got
Yeah,
it.
yeah, it's God. And then like the ending, that's basically just Jurassic Park, but
Mm.
Godzilla, and you're like, oh my God, they did not try on this movie.
The one part I did like very much, and I wish that the rest of the franchise had addressed this at least one time. I hope maybe they did and I just missed it. It's when Ferris Bueller's like ex-girlfriend gets mad at the way that the reporter pronounces it's supposed to be Gojira. He says Godzilla, and she's like, "It's pronounced Gojira, you idiot. Why are you saying Godzilla?" It's like, yeah, that's I've always kind of wondered that myself.
Yeah, especially because even watching this original film, they say Godzilla in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, and
It
I'm like, well, it's not dubbed. This is like the subtitle version. They're saying Godzilla. I'm like, then like, yeah, you watch some of the movies and it's Gojira, and it's like, I don't think we've ever like come to a consensus, both Toho and us, on how the hell to say this name.
I don't know. I tried to find an explanation. I kind of have one. But we'll get to that. My history with Godzilla, I've always been a fan. I don't know what it is. I like big monsters. Who doesn't like big monsters? And I had this like Godzilla toy that my grandparents gave me when I was like 5. I still have it as part of my like pop culture collection. And yet I've seen so few of the movies. I've seen all the American ones because I'm an American. It's what we do. And I've only really recently started tapping into the actual Godzilla catalog from Toho. I watched Godzilla 2000 not long ago. Really enjoyed that. Godzilla versus a spaceship alien monster thing. Right on. Some decent human characters for once. Uh, I've seen Godzilla raids again. Thought that was shit. But I'll say we're gonna go through the franchise a bit heavier later, so I'll save most of my watches for then. But overall, I think it's cool. I like the creatures. I had a Godzilla video game as a kid where I would like it was like a kind of a Godzilla boxing game where you could play as different characters and fight in Tokyo. And that's how I got to know a lot of these characters. And I always thought that was cool. So, it's big monsters that I think are cool. Still haven't watched all the movies, but I'm working on it.
Yeah, big monsters smashing things.
Yeah, exactly. Cool thing is now you can go to Godzilla for some intellectual stimulation because we're starting to get back to the roots, which is nice. And we will talk about that later as well.
Yeah, yeah. We're seeing the reverse happen, at least for Toho, not for American. We're going all in on bombastic action
Yeah,
with the MonsterVerse.
this new one is Kong and Godzilla versus evil Kong and evil Godzilla. So we're not exactly, there's no metaphor here. I can't name a single human character from the MonsterVerse. I can't.
Yeah, they keep bringing in like the same characters and the new characters, and I forget who came from the last film, who's a return. Like it, yeah.
Yeah. I just remember, oh, hey, John Goodman, you were somebody. I know you're John Goodman, but I don't know who you played.
You were in Kong. I remember that.
So my discussion question for you. Godzilla helped popularize the Japanese term kaiju, which translates to strange beast. And in cinema, King Kong was technically the first kaiju in film. There have been many different giant cinematic creatures over the years who have wowed audiences across the world. And I'm curious, what are some of your favorite kaijus in film?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, I mean, outside of Kong and Godzilla, I've been a real big fan of the movie Pacific Rim and the kaiju we had in that. Thought that was really inventive. I thought the sequel squandered the living shit out of it, but yeah, I don't like Uprising all that much. But the first one was like, oh, this is cool. This is interesting. I really like those. I've always been a sucker for a lot of the Godzilla, like Rogues Gallery or whatever you want to call his sometimes enemies, sometimes friends, like, Mothra and Ghidorah, obviously, has always been like a favorite. Rodan, luckily we got to see a lot of these in the one of the more recent MonsterVerse films. Um, doesn't look like Mecha Godzilla always been like a weird but cool thing. Um, and I was also a big fan of like I guess it counts as kaiju. I don't know. But I used to love watching Power Rangers as a kid. And they would like morph up basically to fight big monsters. So I was always a big fan of that too. Watched the crap out of that show as a kid.
All good picks. Yeah, and I think any big monster, I think if it's I don't know what the height cutoff is for a kaiju. I'm gonna go with let's say 25 feet. That seems reasonable. So I would count the alien queen from Aliens as a kaiju.
You could.
I will. I'm doing it. The Balrog from Lord of the Rings. That's a kaiju.
Yeah, technically, yeah.
Yeah. Get weird with it.
They
Um,
got defeated by Gandalf in the movie it appears in.
yeah. Godzilla got blown up by some guy in a plane recently. So your point?
Yeah, but he came back.
So
He
did
did come
Gandalf.
back. Not the Balrog.
Gandalf the White bitch. Um, uh, well, I don't know. The Balrog could come back. I don't know. We don't know if
Yeah,
Godzilla's coming back or that particular Godzilla. As we've seen in the
sure.
franchise, usually there'll just be another Godzilla that pops up in another part of the ocean.
It's different eras, different it's yeah.
Sometimes it's blue, sometimes it's green, sometimes it's pulsing with nuclear fire, sometimes it's not. But it's all, Godzilla.
Sometimes it's just Zilla.
Yeah, sometimes it's just a weak little bitch who our Godzilla would wear as a scarf. Uh, Um, that's what Toho thought. They made that known. They really made that known.
Yeah, they did.
One of my favorite of the Rogues Gallery, I love Gigan because his design is so out of control. He's a fish thing with a gut and like scimitars his hands and a laser face. Like what the hell is going on with this thing?
I'm determined that like sometimes the Japanese was just high when they were coming up with some of these monsters. I'm like, where did they come up with this ideal?
I, I don't know. I mean, there's one guy that what Megalon who has like drill hands. Uh, yeah, it's Ghidorah has no hands, but is all
Yeah.
heads and wings. I don't know how he does anything.
Yeah, was it Biomutante or whatever it is? That's like that one smog creature. It's just deadly smog.
Yeah, doesn't Godzilla just like pull shit out of him in the finale? I don't know. I haven't seen that one, but I've seen clips of him just like pulling shit out of Biolante.
I think so, yeah.
It's yeah, it's you gotta. I'm sure there's pressure to come up with new creative giant monsters for Godzilla to fuck up, and I'm sure at some point you gotta run out of ideas. I mean, how many times are they gonna do varieties of giant monkeys? Um,
Enough to last 70 fucking years.
apparently, what did you think of the Mutos from the 2014 film?
I so it this is the weird thing with the 2014 film because of a lot of the sequels that came out afterwards, it's kind of like aged the worst.
It's the worst one of the MonsterVerse, but it's not
Yeah.
exactly a movie. It's just the most boring one because they didn't have a lot to work with yet.
Yeah, like they keep cutting away from Godzilla right when they're getting to the action. And the Mutos, it was like I felt like we could have just and granted, I think from what I read, Toho was like, no, you can make something up, like prove yourself with this film before we give you the other creatures.
I
So
figured that's what happened. That makes perfect sense. You want to you want to work in this restaurant? Show me you can make a cake.
yeah, so like I get they were restricted, but we could have just had Mothra. I'm just saying, we could have just had fucking Mothra in that movie.
Well, I love that once that movie was a success and they greenlit the sequel, Legendary just stuffed that fucker with everything they want. Mothra, Rodan, Ghidorah, all of it. The music, like they just went ham with King of the
Yeah,
Monsters, and that's still my favorite one.
dude, King of the Monsters fucking rules. I love that one so much.
That one kicked ass.
Ghidorah's Ghidorah's entrance in that movie is fucking awesome.
Dude, I saw a video. Somebody synced the scene where he's like he lands on top of the volcano and like lords over everything. They synced it with the Hellfire score from the Hunchback of Notre Dame,
Oh
and
my
it was
god.
magical. It was it was biblical. I was like, fuck, this is intimidating. I wasn't expecting that. It was really cool.
Shit.
Ah, people are creative. Um, but yeah, Godzilla, I love big monsters. There was an English horror film, a folk horror film called The Ritual that had a really cool kaiju.
That was cool as shit.
Yeah, I was not expecting that to be like the bad guy of that movie to be like some kind of, you know, folk monster.
That may or may not have been real. Yeah, that I like the Ritual is fucking awesome movie.
Oh yeah. Would you count like Cthulhu, like the Lovecraftian beasts as kaiju?
You could, I mean, yeah, they technically count under like the definition of what it is.
Picturing like that sign at a amusement park where it's like you must be this tall to be a kaiju.
You must
Uh,
be this tall to qualify.
yeah. Uh, but yeah, kaijus are fun. Uh, what do you got?
I was supposed to have a question. I'm kidding. I have a question.
I'm finally trusting you. Don't make me regret it.
I know someone asked me, what if I just came in like unprepared?
Yeah, because that never happens.
I'm always prepared.
Okay.
I don't know why you doubt that. Okay, so my question's pretty simple because I couldn't really think of anything else. I was having issues thinking of stuff. I was very tired on Saturday. And that is why do you think Godzilla has lasted for so long and continued to endure both with Japanese audiences and with American audiences?
That's a good question. Well, I think that culturally, at least in the 50s, and I could be completely speaking out of my ass here. I have nothing to back this up. This is just what I think possibly Godzilla could represent to the country of Japan. Post World War II, that country was not in a good spot. Things, two major cities had been obliterated. Their pride was in shambles after losing the war. A lot of the Japanese people were very much like, why did we even do that? What was the fucking point of this war? Godzilla coming out of the idea of like nuclear fallout could create this giant beast that turned out to be this huge box office hit. I think it represented some kind of slim hope for them, maybe. Like we can overcome this. We can get past this shit. Godzilla, I think, might have helped with that. And it became enduring because I think these films are pretty cheap to make. You put a guy in a rubber suit, you build a fake town, you have somebody come up with Laserface Fishman with a gut, and you've got another Godzilla movie. And they did it, 30 something times. And it was almost always a hit. Very few of these have been failures, at least financially. And then America, we just think, ooh, big monster. Oh, that's cool. And big monster translates to big box office bucks. I don't think there's a lot of subtext in the American Godzilla movies. We don't do subtext very well over here in our blockbusters. We don't. What you see is
Big,
what you get.
big monster smash things.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. There's no dudes in suits. It's CGI, sometimes not great CGI, and
I
you get like six name actors, and you hope people show up, and no one's showing up for the actors.
I would love if like when I go see this the new one, if I get like people that like just adore -1 and they just happen to sit next to me or trying to like talk about like what do you think the subtext is in this one? So I can turn and go, Monster Smash.
I think it'd be hilarious if, like, before the movie starts, these guys are talking about, like, dude, Godzilla -1 changed my life, and this new one looks neat, and King Kong's in this. And I wonder if, like, is this going to be an allegory for Vietnam or something? And then 20 minutes in, I just see them walk out and they don't come back. And I'm like, yep, I get
Well,
it.
they see like Kong and Godzilla do some kind of weird like kaiju high five of some kind. They just go, "Oh no, this is not the movie we want."
I want a monster version of the arm grab handshake from Predator.
Oh my God.
Kong, you son of a bitch.
Godzilla, they got you pushing too many pencils.
I mean, as we've established from a clip I watched to confirm that it is indeed true, Godzilla, Kong's gonna apparently ride this horny fucker's ass into combat. So,
I told you it was real, you son of a bitch.
oh God, they were the same size. It's like me riding you into combat. Like, how would that work?
I don't give a shit in the context of the movie,
I
as long as
get,
it
yeah.
looks awesome.
But see, that's the kind of shit that wouldn't happen in a serious Godzilla movie with a point to make.
Can you imagine if in -1 they just break all like fucking illusion and do that shit? They're just like, all right, and now we're gonna have a scene where like Ghidorah just pops out of fucking nowhere, gets on Godzilla's back, and just rides him into the rampage.
Yeah, it's insane. I'm half expecting them to start like to actually fucking talk in this movie. I honestly am like wouldn't be shocked if they did that.
They're just Pomek's just like, oh, we'll give Kino of the Planet of the Apes a run for its money. We'll show you apes can talk.
Um, yeah, I wonder if like if they do talk, are they going to speak English or are they going to have their own language?
I think they're just going to grunt.
I know, but I want them to.
Godzilla's going to war quite a bit.
I mean, in Godzilla Kong, Godzilla like snickered, so there's some emotions in there.
That is sure he did. Yeah, there's a lot of emotions between those two.
Yeah. Uh, I would love it if it ended like Rocky 3, where it's like, they're in like a big ring. They're like, you ready to ring the bell, Apollo? you know, next fight. Who's gonna take the lead in fights?
Right? Oh God. But yeah, like it's kind of like you can never guess, and I hate because you see it a lot now, right? Where a lot of producers are so obsessed with we need to do known IP, so we can make the big box office buck. That's what people want. You can't predict like what becomes a long lasting ongoing. So like no one when they made, like James Bond, right? When they made Doctor No, they were not like, can't wait to keep doing this for like 50 years. Like, no, they made one movie, it became a huge hit, and they kept going until finally they probably went, yeah, we're on movie 20. This is not stopping. Like, eventually it clicks, right? And I'm sure it's the same thing. Like, they made their one Godzilla film. They had a really good idea for this movie. Like you said, it was very clearly in response to what Japan was dealing with, because I mean, this came out in 1954. So not that long after World War II. Japan was still reeling from the devastation and the destruction of the two bombs.
9 years. This is 9 years after the bomb dropped. Like that's no time at
Yeah,
all.
none. Yeah, they're still dealing with that. And they made this movie as kind of like a response to that and how to deal with it, which is also why I do think the new one did so well because it went back to like going back to something that I think even all these years later is so very real
Yeah.
to Japan and very much like something I don't think will ever truly get over. Um,
Well, and I mean, the bomb was on everyone's mind last year with, with Oppenheimer. Like that was we were thinking about it a lot more than we have in the past. And I don't think that was an accident that Godzilla minus one, you know, came out last year. Probably, built up a bit of that goodwill.
yeah, there's a lot of goodwill built up. Granted, definitely saw some idiots leave my theater initially because I think they were hoping for the big bombastic American action and went, oh no, this is a serious Japanese Godzilla film. I'm like, yeah,
I thought Godzilla minus one, like, yeah, it had a serious point to make, but also was super bombastic and action packed and fucking awesome in that department as well. So I don't know what the hell those idiots were looking for.
yeah. I gladly saw that one twice in theaters. I saw an initial release when they did the minus one minus color. I got lucky enough to go see it in black and white as well. So it was really cool.
I found out what the title meant, by the way, minus one. So absolute zero is where Japan felt at the end of World War II. That was their lowest point, and then Godzilla showed up and kicked them while they were down. So minus one.
Oh damn.
Godzilla was extra pain on top of the pain of losing World War II. Like, holy shit, man.
Jesus.
Yeah. It's like,
Ooh.
like, you get in a car accident and then someone walks up and shoots you in the balls. Like, bad day.
Yeah, that's putting it lightly. But yeah, I think that's what got this initially kickstarted. And then I think yes, once they kind of honed in more on like let's just make Godzilla fight things, you had easy popcorn entertainment, and just like the Brits had James Bond that they love, Japanese had their icon, their um icon of cinema, and it was Godzilla, and it's endured for years. And like you said, I think with America, you just never get tired of watching big monsters destroy things, and that's what we're guaranteed with anytime we get a new Godzilla or King Kong film.
Yeah. Japan has Godzilla. England has James Bond. We've got Harvey Weinstein, a
Yeah,
giant, womanizing, so he thinks monster who destroys lives. You can, you combine both of those. I don't know. America doesn't really have a singular cinematic icon. We just keep pumping them out.
yeah, we have numerous ones, but I can't think of one that's like lasted for decades and decades and decades.
Not alone, no.
No.
But maybe that's a good thing. We're not just shoving all of our, cinematic money into one franchise. Can you imagine how boring that would get?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, granted, don't get me wrong. I'm a big James Bond fan myself, and I do like Godzilla, but just knowing how America is, that franchise would get stale really quick.
Yeah. Uh, Good question. Yeah, the legacy of this character cannot be understated. I mean, when Godzilla minus one won Best Visual Effects at last year's Oscars, all the effects artists went on stage holding little Godzilla toys. Like they wanted Godzilla himself to be a part of that win. That's how
Hmm.
much this character means to the Japanese.
Yeah, it's a huge character. I mean, the guy who even did minus one is a massive Godzilla fan. The lead actor for minus one apparently was kind of like us, where he obviously knew about Godzilla growing up, but he didn't really watch a lot of the movies. And he even talked about he felt immense pressure because he's like, I'm stepping into something that's iconic to my country, and I haven't even watched all the films. Like there was a lot of pressure on that. Like, and it's yeah, this Godzilla means a lot to the point that when we came out with that one in 1998, Toho, we joke about, but that was legit what they did. Toho, basically the studio that does Godzilla in Japan, said, "Hey, we'll let you give it your shot. It's fine." Because it's like they're like, "We're not really worried. We have it going strong here still. We're fine." That movie came out and they fucking rescinded quick. They went, "Fuck you." And we had to convince them for years to actually do it again.
Well, I looked into that. Godzilla versus Destroyer, as it's called, was supposed to be the last Godzilla movie. They
Mhm.
were passing the torch to America. That was not just you go make one. That was you do it for us now. And that's what they did. So that was extra insulting. Like good. We'll talk more about that down the road. But I'm just the more I looked into that, the more I was so disappointed in Roland
Yeah.
Emmerich and just
That's right. Yeah. The Millennium era was supposed to be the last era.
oh,
And then they decided to revive it. And here we are now.
yep. With that, let's get into Godzilla 1954. One of the most influential, maybe the most influential monster movie ever made. My main source today is IMDb trivia with Wikipedia to fill in the gaps. I was hoping to find a documentary about the franchise's impact on pop culture. I couldn't find one. I don't own this movie. I don't own the Criterion edition. I had to watch this on HBO Max. Sorry, just Max. I'll figure that out eventually. But
Yeah. Don't get Zaslav on us.
oh yeah, I wouldn't want to piss off that piece of shit. Um, so yeah, it's on Max. Most of the Godzilla movies are on Max. But if you do know of a documentary about the franchise, I'd love to see it. Let me know through the comments or email us. I definitely would like to check that out. Uh, Godzilla was developed by the Japanese production company Toho Limited, which has had the rights to the character and all of his enemies for 70 years. They've occasionally loaned it out, mostly to America, but we're currently on strike two right now. So hopefully the quality of the film stays consistent, or that the MonsterVerse will end very quickly.
Yeah, it's supposed to end after Godzilla versus Kong,
Yeah,
but then that did so well, they went, okay, we'll give you some more.
we're definitely in the goodwill stage right now, but one fuck up and that strike that's it.
Yeah, Toho's gonna be like, okay, we gave you the second chance. Fuck off.
Yeah, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. That's kind of where we're at right now with Toho.
Yeah, they
And I
don't.
get it, I get it. If 1998 is your only exposure to Godzilla, you've never seen Godzilla.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, it's one of those that I generally don't prescribe to like. Oh, I got older and my nostalgia glasses were off, and I don't like that from like a day as a kid. Most of the things I liked as a kid, I still kind of have nostalgia for. That one, that was the one time I was like, no, okay, I get what people mean because I was like, ew, yeah, this is bad. I'm like you, I can watch it for like let's laugh at how bad it is type of thing, but like I'm not putting it on because I can't wait to watch the cinematic masterpiece that is 98 Godzilla.
Yeah, it's a bad movie. It didn't have to be. That's the thing. It was so easy to fix, but nope.
Yeah, start by make me wonder why Ferris Bueller was our lead. No offense to Matthew Broderick, but
Now, great offense to Matthew Broderick. You know what you're good at. It ain't action movies. Why did you agree to be in that?
that's
Being
yeah.
honest here. Did you think anybody, a single person, was like, "Hey, there's this movie coming out. It's called Godzilla. Let's go see it." Broderick's in that. I'm
Hey
sorry.
who hey
Oh,
who wreck another car. That means
oh,
something.
oh shit. Gloves off. Okay. Damn. I didn't want to have to be the guy to go there, so thank you for that.
Oh, you're
Ah,
welcome.
oh boy. I wonder if Broderick fired his agent in the late 90s, because you know what he followed Godzilla with?
No.
Inspector Gadget. So yeah, that's I don't think I haven't seen a lot of him since the late 90s, so I bet that's why. Well, anyway,
Yeah, and that's not one that I used to love as a kid that I actually haven't rewatched as an adult, so I have no idea about the actual quality of that film.
I have, and I still kind of like Inspector Gadget. I don't.
I mean, technically, he did Inspector Gadget too. I think that's what killed him more than the first one.
He wasn't in that.
Oh, he wasn't too.
No, it was French Stewart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, there is a step beneath late '90s Broderick, and it's 2000s French Stewart. So
Was he just too good for the sequel? Like, what happened?
I I don't think so, but he probably thought that. The rest of us didn't. I don't know. For some reason, as a kid, my favorite genre of film was shitty movie made from an old TV show I never saw. Some of my favorite movies as a kid: Inspector Gadget, My Favorite Martian, Wild Wild West, Charlie's Angels.
I have a feeling your parents did not watch a lot of these films with you. They found convenient things to do instead.
Probably. I mean, these all came from their tape collection, so it was their movies. I don't know. And Charlie's Angels, admittedly, is a pretty good movie. But the rest of those are definitely an acquired taste. If you didn't watch it when you were a kid, you're not going to like it now.
Well, yeah, unless you really like spiders in the Wild Wild West.
Oh, that movie is so hard to defend, so I won't do it. The idea for Godzilla, the concept for the movie, was partially inspired by a real event that happened in 1954 in March. In March 1954, 300 people witnessed a 200-foot lizard creature emerge from the Tokyo Bay and knock down several buildings. It was buried. The American government intervened, made sure nobody ever saw any footage of this. Footage was leaked in 1967, and now we can confirm that really did happen.
Okay, I'm not going down a conspiracy rabbit hole with you.
No, that's bullshit. That would be amazing if suddenly Godzilla was real. We definitely would have heard about that. Um,
Put
no,
these movies into a different context.
there really was a real incident. Had nothing to do with a lizard, but there was an incident of nuclear of radiation mishap that happened in 1954. The Daigo Fukuryu Maru incident. This was a Japanese fishing boat with a crew of 23 men who accidentally wandered into an American hydrogen bomb test zone in the Bikini Atoll. Amazingly, despite all 23 men being viciously contaminated by deadly nuclear fallout, nearly every crew member recovered from acute radiation syndrome except for the ship's captain, Kubayama Aikichi, who died due to the illness in September of that year. And despite their immediate recovery, all of the other crew members later died due to illness likely brought on by their initial radiation exposure. So they all died of either cancer or cirrhosis at some point in their lives. So this fishing boat wandering into a nuclear test site inspired some people to be like, well, that's fucked up, but what if it was worse? Uh, in
That's bad,
addition,
but how can we make it worse?
well, at the same time, the other inspiration for the film was the American monster movie, The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, which is a movie about, let me know if this sounds familiar to you. This came out in 1953, by the way. This is a movie about a giant prehistoric dinosaur creature who is awakened from its long slumber by an atomic bomb test in the Arctic. So, technically speaking, America, we beat them there.
Technically, but apparently Japan just did it better.
They did. They did do it better. So there was a producer from Toho named Tomoyuki Tanaka who heard about the incident with the ship with the fishing boat, saw Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, and those two ideas were swirling around in his head on the flight home, and that's how we got Godzilla.
Okay, you know what? Good for him. I'm proud of him.
Yeah. Context clues, connecting the dots. Um, he conceived the idea for the film. The initial title was The Giant Monster from 20,000 Miles Beneath the Sea. So he wasn't even hiding the fact that he was straight up ripping this off.
Oh boy.
I found that hilarious. Just like, I saw this awesome monster movie, and now we're going to make an awesome monster movie, and we're going to call it pretty much the same thing. Um, he pitched this to executive producer Iwao Mori, who approved the project, and Tanaka hired director Ishiro Honda to direct the film. And at this point, the title had shortened to Project G. Wasn't
Better
what
title.
It
Better
wasn't
title.
called Godzilla yet. It was just Project G because it sounded secretive.
Can you imagine if they kept that title? All
Pro-
these
Project G.
Project G 2000.
Project G versus Mecha G. I don't know. Wouldn't really translate that well to the other creatures.
No, it would not work out well. I'm okay. I mean, it's a kick-ass like secret title, but
Yeah, great working title. Better than the giant monster from 20,000 Miles Beneath the Sea. Wouldn't it be hilarious if like movie titles were that specific every time?
yes,
Spider-Man, the teenage superhero who was bit by the radioactive spider and decided to do something about it. Two.
I'm just thinking of movies on like oh god, like Fast and Furious. Like, what would that be if you?
The vaguely Latino guy and his fair-haired partner driving cars and stealing VCRs in LA. Six.
They're not even doing that at that point.
No, but
They had to stick
that was
with
the
that
title,
title.
so that's we got to stick with the title. My God. Um, so Ishiro Honda, he had served in the Japanese military during World War II. Tanaka felt his wartime experience gave Honda a distinct advantage towards making this film, felt he would understand what they were trying to say. And it's true. Honda directed a few Godzilla movies, a lot of the quote unquote really good ones.
Hmm.
Uh, the special effects director, Eiji Tsuburaya, sorry if I'm mispronouncing all of these, I am not Japanese. He conceived the monster as an octopus-like creature. Uh, Sci-fi writer Shigeru Kayama came on board to write a story, and he saw the monster as more of an ape-like creature who had a thing for human women.
Someone was horny.
Godzilla was almost the Japanese King Kong. Uh,
Hear me out. He destroys, but he also really likes women.
yeah, he's a lover and a fighter. Uh,
But he's
Kayama
not going to worry about practicality.
apparently somebody had actually worked that out, and apparently gorilla penises relative to their size are pretty small. So Kong would have roughly a regular sized Johnson and could actually use it on a
That's
human woman.
that's horrifying. And I'm now wondering what kind of porn you watch in your free time.
This was a scientist.
Okay. My statement still stands.
Oh God. All the porn I watch is human on human, I promise.
They can look, I know how porn works. They do Godzilla fucks Kong or whatever the hell they call it, but it's two guys or a guy and a gal, depending on what type of porn you're watching. Clearly in a fucking suit.
Wouldn't it be I feel like it would be Cockzilla versus King Dong.
Ooh, that's a good one.
There you go. You can have that, Brazzers. That's for you.
Scream
Um, anyway, um, so Kayama,
Godzilla versus King. That's good. That's good.
yeah, I'm a writer, creator of worlds over here.
And porn titles.
Yeah, worlds. That's a world. Might be kind of a wet world, but it's a world.
And smelly.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go there for longer than like 6 days. Okay, Kayama. He abandoned the idea of Monkeyzilla and returned to an idea for a story he had started writing before about a giant lizard that walked on its hind legs. So he reverted to that idea, and that pretty much stayed with the nexus of what this was going to be. They had yet to call it Godzilla. That hasn't come up yet.
Very
Uh,
curious how he gets to that name now.
yeah. Honda and Takeo Murata co-wrote the script in 3 weeks. They wrote Godzilla in 3 weeks.
I mean, Japan's known for like pumping these things out. Movies in general out quick.
Apart from various gaps for long periods of time for reasons unknown, when they're in a when they're in fashion, there's a Godzilla movie about once a year.
Yeah, yeah, Japan in general like is known for like it's almost like a factory with how they make films. Like so, as someone like Takashi Miike has like over 100 film credits to his name.
Yeah.
Like the I don't know, their work ethic is way different than what it is here in America.
And for what they're able to do with such limited budgets, that's what blows my mind. Like, I don't think any Japanese Godzilla movie has cost more than like 20, maybe $30 million to make.
Yeah, it's insane, and it looks better than half the American big budget stuff we get.
Yeah, how much does Godzilla X Kong costs? Let's find out.
Probably 200 million or more.
Yeah, the budget 200 million plus. So you were right on the money, 200 million or more. Good call.
Getting really good at these insane budgets America spends on movies.
Well, now I just expect them to fail.
Yeah, yeah. I like hopefully we're wrong about Godzilla X Kong, but if it doesn't, if Ghostbusters didn't make a dent at the box office, apparently, I okay.
It did win the weekend. So it's doing okay. It's just it hasn't quite hit budget numbers yet. But hey,
Yeah.
everybody measures victory differently. And it's okay. Movie, you're good at other things. Uh, um, Producer Tanaka requested that they not spend too much money on this movie, write something economically feasible. They were like, we want to make a movie, but we don't want to, pay that much for it. So keep that in mind. And the other producer was like, you do what you need to. We'll cover this. So that's two very different orders coming from higher ups right there.
Yeah, but
Hate to
still
be the
better
one
than what
caught
you
in the
get.
middle of that financial shitstorm.
Still better than what they get in America. It's hey, how do you not spend all this money, but also going to give you a large budget, but then do all this stuff to hinder you?
We're going to give you $200 million. If you touch a penny of it, you will be fired and you will obey every order we give you, even if it's terrible and we tell you not to obey it. You got that?
Where's
Hollywood.
Hollywood? And in Japan, they're like, yeah, look, try to keep the budget low, and but if you need the money, we'll give it to you. Just make the
Yeah.
movie.
They give him a briefcase. They're like, take this yen, make some magic with it. I'll see you in 6 months for the sequel. It's kind of amazing. Uh,
Give us movie. That's all we ask.
yeah. We just want a movie that people are going to watch more than once, which does not happen these days in this country a lot.
No.
Uh, the final design of the creature is credited to two people, Taizo Toshimitsu and Akira Watanabe, the creature design guys. The name of the creature comes from a combination of the Japanese word for gorilla, which is gorira, and whale, which is kojira. Combine these, you get Gojira. And that word got morphed into Godzilla when the film released overseas and the name stuck. So I'm blaming America for the bastardization of the word Gojira.
I love how Toho had a decision, right? Toho had a moment of like, we could fight this and make them say it right, or we just say fuck it and go with what they're saying. And they chose the latter, which at that time probably the wise choice.
Well, it's like if you're moving to a new school and somebody says your name wrong, but the way they say it is really fucking cool, so you don't correct it. That's basically what happened. Because yeah, Godzilla sounds cooler than Gojira. I'm sorry, but it does.
It does, yeah. It look it's kind of like so like with my last name, like I judge if I'm going to correct someone depending on the situation. So like if I'm at the doctor and they say my last name wrong, I don't give a shit. I'm not going to correct you because I'm here temporarily. Let's just get this transaction over with.
No.
Med me up, whatever you need to do to me, and I'm out the door. But if I know you and I know I'm going to like work or something, then like yeah, I'll be like, hey, look, this is how you say it. So I mean, yeah, sometimes you got to pick and choose your battles. That one was like, you know what? It sounds cooler. Fuck it.
Yeah, it's gotten to the point. My name is so weirdly ethnic. It could be from anywhere. So what I've started doing in certain situations, social situations where I know I'm not going to see this person on a regular basis, I've begun lying about my nationality. I've told people I was Russian. I've told people I was Ugandan. I've told people I was the Jamaican, whatever pops into my mind. And I'm like, yeah, it's a family name.
Have you laid off the Russian since the whole Russia Ukraine thing? You're like, ooh, not the
No, I
not the
just
hot
say
water
like
I want to deal
I
with.
disagree with my family's politics, and that's why I'm here. It's fun to just see them be like, "Oh wow," and then start asking questions, and then I get to practice my lying skills. It's happened a few times. If it's like a friend or like some, a prospective romantic partner or somebody who I actually like want in my life, I'm gonna be honest. Yeah. But if it's like, some guy at the airport who's asking me questions about my name, I'm gonna be like, I'm not gonna say certain countries because I don't want to get detained, but I will, maybe put a little spin on it.
I mean, it's better than me. I just like to look at them with a fuck off look of like, please, whatever you just asked me, don't take it back. I don't want to answer it. Leave me alone.
That's that's nice. Approachable. Uh,
Try not to be.
yeah. Um, Godzilla was an enormous hit, grossing to date 2.25 million. That's now, with re-releases and whatnot, on
Mm.
an initial budget of $175,000. That was the budget. Uh
Jesus
60
Christ.
63 million yen at the time, but equates to about 175,000. It went on to spawn 33 Japanese sequels and 5 American reboots, making it one of the longest running franchises in cinematic history. So, la di da. Yeah, it ain't superheroes. It ain't global globetrotting spies. It ain't serial killers or movie monsters. It's the big lizard who can spit fire. That's the guy who's sitting at the top right now.
It's Project G.
Project G, the beast from 20,000 miles beneath the sea.
The almost horny ape.
Yeah, with octopus tentacles. That's who we're looking at here. That's the king of the monsters right there. He's got his own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, by the way.
That is amazing.
Godzilla. Some actors don't have that, but Godzilla has that. So do the Muppets, by the way.
You think some actors look at that like, God damn it.
Godzilla.
A fictional character has a star before I do.
Gotta hurt. Well, after I found out how you get a star, basically you approach them and are like, I want a star, and you have to pay for it, and then they'll do a little ceremony. So
Oh,
I don't think it's that big of an honor,
that really deflates the whole thing.
doesn't it? You're basically buying a trophy for yourself.
That's wow, that really disappointed me in like all of the ways.
Oh yeah. I think the tour guide in LA told me that, and I was like, oh, probably shouldn't tell people that.
Yeah, it takes the magic out of it, especially like when you see some people that like you're like, oh, they deserve it. They finally get it. It's like, oh, they probably just paid for it.
Yeah, pretty much. Godzilla has an IMDb score of 7.5, Rotten Tomatoes score of 93%, audience score of 89%. Critics' consensus reads, more than straight monster movie fare. Gojira offers potent, sobering post-war commentary. And yes, they said Gojira. Um, the film was welcomed into the Criterion Collection in 2012, and the rest is history. So, before we get into it, I do want to talk just a bit about an alternate version of this film.
Oh boy.
Oh, yeah. Leave it to America to fuck up a little bit more of Japanese culture than we already have. Um,
Again, not that long after the war, after we bombed the living shit out of Japan.
after we dropped 2 very real bombs on them, we dropped a little bit more pop culture bomb on them just for kicks.
Because
So
we
it's what we do. We kick people while they're down all the time. So after the film's success in Japan, Toho sold the American rights, and this this film called Godzilla King of the Monsters was trimmed down substantially, and new footage was added in with actor Raymond Burr, Perry Mason, who was interacting with body doubles of the original cast to make it look like he'd been there the whole time, as a new character named, I shit you not, Steve Martin. That made me laugh. I know it's, comedian Steve
yeah.
Martin was like a child, but it retroactively makes me laugh.
Yeah, it's funny and now that we know.
But the fact that like they didn't think this movie was complete enough, they had to shove Raymond Burr into this somehow. I remember like when I was telling my grandparents I was doing Godzilla, they're like, "Oh yeah, Raymond Burr was in that," and I had to be like, "No, no, he wasn't."
No. He's in the shitty one. He's not in the actual one.
The political themes were removed. The movie was released in America And just to add insult to injury, it grossed more in its run than the Japanese version did.
God damn it.
Oh, and this would happen a couple more times. King Kong versus Godzilla got an American version where Kong won because in the Japanese one, Godzilla wins. Because, yeah, nuclear lizard versus big monkey is an easy bet.
Yeah.
And the Return of Godzilla got re-released in America as Godzilla 1985, which did the same thing. Trimmed up the movie, added in some white people, and released it in the States.
God damn it.
It's really amazing.
What I love is that they basically have been doing what we're doing now with the franchise since day one. They're like, hey, that political subtext, get it the fuck out of here.
Oh, yeah.
Just
1950s American audiences do not want to hear how disappointed the Japanese are by all the nuclear fallout surrounding their country. It
yeah.
took a while for Japanese Americans to regain some fucking acceptance in this country after World War II. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah. I don't agree with it, but I get why they did it.
I know. I'm saying it's fine to me. Like, just hey, subtext. No, 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 no. This is America. Monster smash.
Subtext, that sounds like something a communist would say. Is that what I heard? Mr. Honda, are you a communist? Oh, God.
God
So,
damn it.
so real quick, before we get into the film itself, let's run through the different eras of this franchise. So, there's been four distinct eras of Godzilla, named for very odd reasons. First up was the Showa era, and this is not named after a producer or a studio. This was named for the period of Japanese history under the rule of Emperor Showa, who ruled from 1926 to 1989.
Okay.
Yeah. These films include Godzilla, 1954, Godzilla Raids Again, 1955, King Kong vs. Godzilla, 1962, Mothra vs. Godzilla, 1964, Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, 1964, Invasion of Astro Monster, 65, Ibira Horror of the Deep, 66, Son of Godzilla, 67, Destroy All Monsters, 68, All Monsters Attack, 69, Godzilla vs. Hedorah, 71, Godzilla vs. Gigan, 72, Godzilla vs. Megalon, 73, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, 74, and Terror of Mechagodzilla, 75.
They just pumped the living shit out of these out.
They really did. That's the Showa era. And of those, I've seen Godzilla, of course, Godzilla Raids Again, King Kong versus Godzilla, and that is all. And Godzilla 54 was the only one of those I liked. So,
I
yeah.
don't. I've only
Mothra
seen
and
the,
Rodan got their own movies before they got thrown into this canon, so I didn't include those because those aren't Godzilla movies.
mhm.
But yeah, they got their own spotlight first.
Oh, that's nice of Japan.
I've seen I've seen Rodan too. That was actually not bad.
Yeah, I mean, look, for a while there, Japan was outside Godzilla. They had those two. They had Gamera was another big one for them. Like they were just pumping these things out. Godzilla just was the king of it all. Like he stayed top.
Yeah. Monster movies sell tickets. People want to see that shit. They want to watch stuff that's going to take their mind off the fact that their country's in complete shambles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
who doesn't want to do that?
I guarantee you, if America ever implodes and starts to find its way back, the very first thing that's going to be made in Hollywood, fucking monster movies.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, look, we kind of saw with like when the pandemic was easing up and people go back to theaters, horror was still going big. Like that's the genre people went to go get their minds off things.
Yeah, I remember Godzilla versus Kong was one of the films that rejuvenated the box office in early 2021. And I'm proud to say I saw that in theaters. I helped.
I did. I saw it in theaters also because I was like, I'm seeing this in theaters. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm glad it's on Max because I know I guess I'm one of the minority that thought Max actually did the smart thing in that case
Yeah.
with day and date. God bless. I say that because apparently people have their issues with that and forget what the situation was with theaters anyway. Um, but yeah, I was like, dude, I know it's on Max and I could easily watch it, but I'm seeing this on the big screen.
Yep. I had to sit in the front row. I had to crane my neck the whole time, so it wasn't exactly comfortable. It was a great movie. Then there was the Heisei era, named for the period of Japanese history under the rule of Emperor Emeritus Akihito, who ruled from 1989 to his abdication in 2019. And these films got a little bit more serious, a little bit more adventurous and weird. The Return of Godzilla, 1984. Godzilla vs. Biollante, 1989. Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, 91. Godzilla vs. Mothra, 1992. Not to be confused with Mothra vs. Godzilla from 64, which I have many times. Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, 93. Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla, 94. And Godzilla vs. Destroyer, 1995. And that movie was supposed to be the end of the run of Godzilla. That was it. So they passed the torch to America. But before that, of these, I have seen Destroyer, and it fucking rules. That is one of the best Godzilla movies, one of the top five.
I know a lot of people like the high sea area is kind of like the general like favorite amongst fans. When they get like more serious, they went bigger with a lot of the films. Like a lot of people like the films in this era a lot.
Yeah, this is the era I want to focus on. I'm looking forward to watching those. So, America tried their hand in an original Godzilla movie instead of just re-editing the Japanese ones for once. Roland Emmerich directed 1998's Godzilla to fan outcry and critical condemnation. The design was wildly different, the story was bloated, the characters were bland, and the ending ripped off Jurassic Park. Everyone hated it, and Toho felt the need to redeem the character on the global stage. It was very much a, you give him the keys to the car to your son who just got his license, and he immediately veers into a fucking tree. And now you got to take the keys back and be like, you get in the fucking house. Think about what you did. Maybe one day we'll talk about this again, but right now, sit the fuck down. Daddy's driving the car. I think that's the best allegory for this situation that
It's
we get.
until he fucked it up. It's almost like when Bob Iger left Disney and like JPEG got in charge, and then he fucked it up. And Iger was like, "Give me the keys, give it back to me, because you fucked this up." And now Iger hasn't done too hot either. But like for a minute, it was like, "Oh shit, Daddy's coming back to save Disney because JPEG fucked it up."
It's always annoying when there's a passing of the torch and the new torchbearer blows. And then the old one's going to be like, well, retirement sounded fun, but I guess not.
Guess I'll just fucking go back to work instead of enjoying my golden years.
Isn't that the entire concept of the show Succession?
Yes, I
I haven't
believe.
watched it, but I think that's what that's about.
I didn't watch it. I know a lot of people like it, but I think that's what it's about.
That's fantastic. Well, now I got to watch it. There'll give me more metaphors for the show. So Toho got back on the bandwagon. The Millennium Era began. And this came out of Toho's need to remind everyone what Godzilla was supposed to be. That's the whole reason the Millennium Era was started, because we fucking dropped the ball. I love it. It's a series of spite films. It's 6 spite movies. That's what the Millennium Era is.
Man, Japanese held a grudge. They weren't, oh, we're showing you what you assholes are supposed to do with this.
It began in 99 with Godzilla 2000. Rules. Watched that recently. Fucking awesome. Godzilla versus Megaguirus 2000. Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah Giant Monsters All Out Attack from 2001, which has one of the shittiest titles I've ever seen, but is apparently one of the greatest Godzilla movies ever made.
Yeah, I know it's like a fan favorite.
Then there was Godzilla Against Mechagodzilla 2002, Godzilla Tokyo SOS 2003, and Godzilla Final Wars 2004. I've heard these are mostly ridiculous but fun.
That's yeah, the general ranking I get amongst fans, it's like High C is like the top. People love that one. Millennium's usually right below it because yeah, it's when these things just got way over the top. Even for Japan was like, fuck it, just Americanize it. They can't do it any worse than we can't do it any worse than what the way they did. And
Yeah,
let's show them
there's
what
a
Godzilla
scene
can be.
there's a scene in one of these. Let me look up exactly which one it is. Um, it's from Godzilla Final Wars, where Zilla, the 98 Roland Emmerich Godzilla, shows up, and the proper Godzilla fucks him up. It's not even a fight, it's an extermination. And then he just moves on. Like it's not even a significant part of the movie. It's the most, it's the biggest fuck you snub ever. Like, how dare you call it's like you're no god. You're not even you don't get that part of the name.
Yeah, you just get the Zilla.
Yeah, you're just a little lizard fucko who doesn't deserve to be here.
Oh god, it's beautiful.
It
It's
really is.
beautiful.
It's outrageous.
Spite can be a beautiful thing sometimes.
Right? Spite creates art a lot.
Yes, it can be beautiful. But yeah, and then I think the Showa, I won't like I most fans I know kind of put Showa era as kind of like the least favorite.
Well, admittedly, they were trying when they made this one. But then, you had a recognizable icon on your hands. The name's going to speak for itself. It's going to do most of the heavy lifting. So do you really have to try that hard with the rest of it? I think there's some of that going around.
Yeah, probably. If you notice, it also has like the most. So I think sometimes you could argue that they were coming out with them so rapidly in the Showa era compared to the other eras that quality, I don't think it was just like, hey, get another one out. People love this shit.
Yeah, fair enough. Um, Toho decided to give America another chance, and Legendary Pictures established the MonsterVerse, which began in 2014 with Godzilla. And it seems the Americans had finally got it right this time because that was a huge hit. And the MonsterVerse continued with 2017's Kong Skull Island, 2019's Godzilla King of the Monsters. I love that an American studio reclaimed that title and put it on a good movie. And 2021's Godzilla vs. Kong, the Apple TV Plus series Monarch Legacy of Monsters, and 2024's Godzilla X Kong The New Empire. So that's America's second chance, and so far doing pretty good.
Yeah, so far Toho's happy with us.
Yeah.
But
So
it probably also hopes that I'm sure you're going to get to it. Toho is in its current era. I'm sure that helps their
yeah,
happiness.
basically it's like Toho gave gave the son the keys to the car. It was like, do what you got to do. I trust you now. It's been a few years. I know you made mistakes. I know you made mistakes. And I know you're not going to do it again. And meanwhile, dad got himself a nice old Ferrari and is having plenty of fun driving that, not really giving a shit what his kid's driving. So that's where we're at with that now. And yeah, in Japan, Godzilla continued to rampage all over the box office. We are currently in the Reiwa era, named for the current reign of Emperor Naruhito, who ascended in 2019. And through this research is how I learned that Japan still has an emperor. So,
I
didn't
didn't
know.
know it still had one.
Yeah, it's ceremonial. It's much like the English royal family. They just get to wear a nice hat and sit in front of parties.
Oh, God damn it. Um, this era is only two films deep, I think. I don't know. I don't know if they count the Netflix shows though.
They do. Those were three movies.
Oh shit. Okay.
The films in the Reiwa era so far: Shin Godzilla 2016, Godzilla Planet of the Monsters 2017, Godzilla City on the Edge of Battle 2018, Godzilla the Planet Eater 2018, and Godzilla Minus One 2023. And those three middle ones are animated Netflix movies that got dropped that nobody really paid any attention to. So I want to watch them now that I know that they exist.
Yeah, I want to give them a shot.
So, not counting the many American re-edits and various cartoon shows, that is the entire Godzilla franchise as it stands today.
Yeah, all the official films. Yeah, not going read or I believe there was a cartoon in the 80s.
There was a cartoon in the 80s and one in the 90s based off the fucking movie, the American movie, because what we did, McDonald's toys, a cartoon tie-in, and bed sheets. So, yeah.
God damn it.
Yep.
But
It just
yeah, I mean,
it's one of the big franchises I haven't really sat down and just absorbed because frankly, I don't want to watch 38 straight Godzilla movies. I just don't want to do that.
yeah, it's been one of those that like I can get the fans that like adore this, and I'm sure it's because they've been on for the long haul since they were a kid.
Yeah.
Now as an adult, it's very hard for me to say like, oh, I can't wait to watch like 30 of these films. Like, especially like I said, like from what I understand, like for me to get again, no offense to the show era, but it sounds like the high C in the Millennium era is where it's at for like the more like classic run of Godzilla flicks.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I gotta get through all those to get to like the era that people seem to really like.
Yeah. Considering there's no like standing continuity except occasionally when they want to do it, there's no need to watch these in order. I just jump in when I feel like checking one out and I'll watch them occasionally like, accordingly. That's how I've been doing it.
Yeah, that's probably what I'll do.
Yeah. Um, like I want to check out Giant Monsters All Out Attack. I keep hearing about that one is as just being a blast. So that's probably going to be the next one I watch.
I'll say I've heard that be like it's considered top tier Godzilla.
Oh yeah.
even with
Um,
its ridiculously long title.
yeah, I hate the title. I really don't like that. With that, let's talk some specifics about Godzilla 54, the OG, the original Godzilla. And we have best scene, best performance, best music, and best line. Where do you want to start?
Let's start. You know what? Let's start at line.
Line.
Start. Yeah. I'll throw a curveball. Let's start line.
Ooh, I don't know what to do now. I was not prepared for that response. Oof, I'm all you swung me. Now I'm all mumbling. Um, best line. So I don't think it's a very good script, but I mean,
Bro, all that praise and then just starting off with this.
here's the thing. Godzilla, 38 films, one of them has been praised for its exciting story and vibrant characters, and that is the one that came out last year. The rest of them, we're here to watch big monsters ripped up Tokyo. Let's all admit that. So yeah, I think the script's a bit light. It does have a couple interesting lines, but overall, like, yeah, the human characters don't pop. But I was expecting that. So
Yeah, I mean, I was expecting that too. I did have one that really sat with me. One line that sat with me that I was like, God damn, kind of dark even for a 54 film. Coming from Japan. And that's when Godzilla's attacking the city and it cuts to that mom with her two kids and they're crying and she goes, we're going to be with daddy. We'll join daddy soon. That stung a little. I was like, God damn, like that is some dark shit in a film from 1954. Like that line really, that whole scene in general, but that line really fucking got me. I was not ready for it.
I felt the same way about one. I think it might have been the same scene with this woman on the train. It's like I barely survived Nagasaki, and now this. Like, whew, okay, damn.
Yeah,
Uh,
like god damn. Sometimes like yeah, because I'm with you. Like it was, I was having a hard time picking dialogue. Kind of why I wanted to pick it first. Um, but man, that one as soon as I hit that, we got to that scene. I was like, Jesus Christ, movie. I wasn't ready for this as I'm eating dinner watching this. Like,
there was one line that had me laughing because it was such a big threat out of nowhere. It's early on in the movie when they're on Odo, and this guy, like one of the guys who lives there, is being asked about this thing called Godzilla that he's saying, he says shows up to eat humans when he runs out of fish. And like they used to push out a virgin to appease him. And somebody tells him, like, oh, okay. And he just looks at her and goes, if you ridicule our traditions, I'll feed you stupid cows to Godzilla. Like, whoa, dude, take your foot off the pedal. God damn.
yeah, like calm the fuck down. Jesus.
It was just like a bit much. And they just laugh it off, like, oh, okay, you crazy old man. And then Godzilla shows up and they're like, somebody get a virgin. But no, that didn't happen. That would have been great if that happened, but no.
Who on this island is a virgin? God damn it.
Uh, you got any other dialogue?
Uh, I got one. I did like, I'm always a sucker for like when they lay all the hints for something monstrous is out there.
Mhm.
It's like when they get the sailors and they're like, I'm telling you, the sea just exploded. I like dialogue like that, where we're like getting those hints of like, ooh, there's something monstrous and something big, something that we don't know attacking. Granted, we know it's 1954 Godzilla, so we know, but it's still fun, that like build up of what's about to come out.
Yeah. It's funny, like retroactively, where they're like, there may be another Godzilla out there somewhere. It's like, ooh, they knew. They knew
Yeah.
this was gonna be big.
Back when there was one movie with no guarantee for a sequel.
Um, one line I have is from the scientist who created the oxygen destroyer. And I love the idea of, a scientist grappling with the human implications of creating a giant weapon that could destroy a lot of people. Like from a movie like this is like that's on the nose, but it needed to be said. Uh,
Yeah.
and his friend says something like, what do you say? If you only you can save us from this tragedy. Even if you use the device to defeat Godzilla, how can it be used as a weapon if you don't publish your research? And he says, Ogata, we human beings are weak creatures. Even if I burn my notes, everything is still in my head. As long as I'm alive, who can say I wouldn't be coerced into using it again? Wow. That is some like you imagine if J. Robert Oppenheimer built the bomb and before it could be used was like, what the hell have I done? Destroys the bomb and then kills himself to make sure no one else can use him to build a bomb.
Yeah, it's fucking wild, especially in a movie like this.
Yeah. It's great. And the oxygen destroyer keeps coming back. That pops up in a lot of the Godzilla movies. They use it to take on Destroyer. And I want to just point out, it's not Destroyer. I'm not just saying it weird on purpose. It's spelled Destroyah. Destroyer. That's what they called it. Anyway, I
I,
just wanted to
I
make sure that was.
I like how you had to specify.
I've had several people I've talked to about that in person were like, "Why are you saying it like that?" And I had to be like, "Dude, that's what it's spelled like." So I wanted to just preempt that. Uh, yeah,
I was just gonna let you keep saying it because I knew it, but I was like, man, the audience may not know, and this is gonna be funny. So I was like, fuck it.
Destroyer. It's fun. Somebody in the movie, like in the universe of the movie, was like, "I know a great name for this giant radiation electricity creature that just showed up and is destroying everything. I know what we should call it.
You think, man,
Destroyer."
think he may it was said like that because he was like he got killed in the middle of saying it. He was gonna say destroyer, but as he says, he goes destroyer. Ah! So it just stuck.
That is now canon. I will accept no other explanation. That is brilliant. It's the old Monty Python gag. Uh, that's great. Let's go ahead and shout the music. One thing about the Godzilla franchise I have always adored is the music. Uh, the score, the iconic Godzilla score, as we know and love it, was written by Akira Ifukube, and I feel like that name is not well known enough in pop culture for what he contributed to this movie.
Yeah, because like it's kind of wild watching this after seeing the 2023 one. Got -1. And the fact that the score works so well in this original film 70 years later, it still works so well, but it still worked just as well when they reused it for the 2020, the most recent film,
Mhm.
and still worked. To me, speaks absolute volumes on how good this score is. That it can work 70 years prior when from the it started, and also 70 years fucking later, and it's still like kick ass to hear and not sound corny or anything. Like it that to me is just absolute testament to how good this score is.
Dude, -1, my favorite moment was when Godzilla attacked that one town that the girl was in, and all of a sudden the music kicks in, and I'm like, oh shit, it's Godzilla. Like you had a moment of like, oh my God. And yeah, it's an iconic piece of music for a reason. And yeah, my pick was the opening credits where we get to hear that for the first time.
Yeah, yeah, I put the opening credits as well because I was like, "Ah, it's just I love hearing it." Um, but like yeah, I gotta say, outside of that, this film has some really awesome, like ominous music times.
Yep.
It goes for like the film kind of goes for some horror moments here and there, much more than I was expecting even for this.
Mhm.
And one's pretty like when the like the village gets attacked during the storm by Godzilla, and you can just hear the footsteps. But the music playing during that is so ominous and kind of like borderline horror. Like they're not showing you what's happening. You're just hear the music, you hear the storm, you know bad shit's happening, and it's really effective.
Yeah, I feel like that might have inspired like the initial T-Rex scene in Jurassic Park a little bit.
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, you can trace a lot of modern monster movies back to Godzilla. And, I wonder, like there was a scene in this movie that I saw like right, like was almost copied in Godzilla -1. It was the scene with the reporters on the tower.
Yeah, that was the director from -1, well, the writer and director, he wrote and directed. He said that was absolutely his homage. He was not hiding that.
Ah, I know, but it's another thing to see it and just be like, oh, that's fucking cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's really cool. And at first I was like, man, they're still talking. I remember watching -1 going, why are these idiots still talking? And I watched this old one. I'm like, oh, I get it now. It makes sense because we're fucking stupid as human beings and would do some shit like that.
Yeah. Except instead of a video camera, it would be like a cell phone, just holding up like, oh my God, look, like and subscribe, y'all. It's Trevor forever or whatever. Check out that big
Yeah.
lizard. And then that's their
It's
last
getting
one.
close. It's coming towards me. Will I survive? Well, if you put the phone down and get the fuck off the roof, yes.
Oh God. Performance. Who won the movie for you?
That was that was hard. I had two names down, Takashi Shimura and Akihiko Hirata.
Mm.
Um, but I gotta give it, and of course I'm dumb and didn't write down who played who, like an asshole. So I'm doing it as we speak. But the one that played the doctor that had this the the crisis of faith, if you will. I yes, Akihiko Hirata. There you go. Dear God. Um he to me easily stole the film because at first like his introduction I was like, ooh, this okay. He's just a weird, creepy character dude. You know, you just kind of see him do that weird wave or not even respond to them like waving. But as the film progresses and you kind of get more into his character and what the performance he's delivering, it works really well. Like he became to me a very like outside of Godzilla, I was really invested in his storyline of like, man, what's he going to do? Like he created this thing that yes can defeat Godzilla, but now he's having this, like you said, crisis of faith. And again, it works really well with how soon this came out after World War II. Um, we just got, and he says, we just got done with the H bomb, and now this. Like, I can't. It's a very complex character that this actor really brings to life, and yeah, I gotta give the guy props.
Yeah, I agree. He was fantastic. I went a different direction though. I gave this to Haruo Nakajima, who
I thought
plays
you were going to
Godzilla
say,
himself.
"Oh, you son of a bitch!" I was about to say you put Godzilla.
Yeah, because talk about a daunting task. Here, wear this 200-degree rubber suit and act like you're destroying Tokyo. You're going to lose 20 pounds while you're filming this movie, which he did, just sweating through that suit. And he was amazing. The reason this looks so good is because it's not some stop motion Harryhausen monster that, looks wonky just 10 years later. It's a dude in a suit and some forced perspective that was done extremely well. And he's just, you can see some anger in Godzilla. You can see some rage. Probably 'cause this guy was like, I can't fucking breathe in here. And he's giving a great performance on top of that.
I'm sweating so much.
Yeah. He passed out more than a few times, and they were just like, hey, they like smacked him up with like, we gotta get the scene.
Hey, get the fuck up. Come on. You had a scene to shoot.
So yeah, I gave him props because this movie would be nothing without his performance and his dedication.
No, that's fair. Apparently him and Katsumi Tezuka
Yeah.
also played, so I guess they traded off, I'm assuming.
Yeah, because if one of them was playing the character, they would have been dead before the end of the day. They had to trade off. But
Yeah,
he
so
did the bulk of it.
yeah, I was about to say good for both of them. Yeah, one that does the bulk of it. I'm looking at the list. I didn't realize Ishihiro Honda pops up in the film in a cameo. And you know what? Good for him. I'm proud of him.
Yeah. Raymond Burr pops up at one point as a character no one needs.
Nope, I do not care.
Best
I
scene. What's some of your favorite scenes in Godzilla?
quite a bit because actually this film delivers on the scenes big time. Um, so one thing, I actually put I know I put it for music, but also yeah, in general, the scene when we get like I guess our first not on-screen Godzilla attack, but with the village. When again, all you hear is the sound. There's those loud footsteps. People are reacting. It's raining. Like that is a fucking great goddamn scene. Like because it's kind of making you go, shit. Like again, it's that build up. At least for back then, right? Obviously now, 70 years later, we know who the hell's doing it. But back then, like if you put yourself in the shoes of like, dude, what is going on? Like we get told about this thing. I'm not seeing it, but I'm hearing it. It's causing all this destruction. Like it's just that expert that I'm a sucker for build up to the ultimate reveal. And like I just think it's a really well done scene.
Yeah, that was cool. I think it was hurt a little bit for me personally by Godzilla's actual reveal, where he just kind of was like, hmm. looks over a hill like, "Hey guys, what's going on?" And I was kind of like, "Oh
You
shit!"
right.
Yeah, it's like, ah, somebody did somebody say action?
That was the actor just not hearing his cue yet.
Um, but yeah, the first I was anxious for like what the first glimpse of Godzilla on celluloid was going to look like, and I thought he looked great. There were some moments where he's got like his eyes are a little weird, kind of googly. That doesn't happen a lot, hopefully, thankfully. Um, my favorite scene was our first ever glimpse of his atomic breath because that looked real. Like that, the way they did that felt like people were drawing from the experience of, I'm sure, people who might have witnessed the bombings. Because the way the way the breath just like melted everything, destroyed everything in its path. It looked very much like a very real metaphor for the bomb. And I was
Yeah.
really impressed with how, like, I thought that was going to look goofy or feel goofy, but it felt very deserved and kind of poignant and freaky. And I love that, later on in -1, Godzilla's breath is again just feels like a nuclear blast. A lot more powerful because they're able to do a lot more with it now, but like it had the same kind of effect.
Dude, that's still, I was about to say, like, obviously as the years go on, like the atomic breath is kind of like the centerpiece, like, oh, how are they going to do it in this Godzilla film? It's a big moment when we get to it. Um, the way they did it in -1, when the tanks are shooting him, and you just see the fucking spikes start glowing, and he like tilts his head back and just fucking unleashes. I was like, oh, I remember in theater going, holy shit.
The sound design of just the explosion, the sucking up every noise around it, it made Godzilla feel less like a character and more like a vicious force of nature. And I love when that happens because Godzilla at the end of the day is not supposed to be, Tokyo's super cop who shows up when there's another monster. He's supposed to be an act of God, a piece of nature that, was from a world before us that is too powerful for us to understand. And my favorite Godzilla movies are the ones that treat him like that.
Yeah, I will say I do like the MonsterVerse kind of dug in that idea that he is restoring balance, so that's why he has to respond to these monsters. He's like, no, 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 fuck off.
Yeah, it's not like he shows up in a cowboy hat with a sheriff's belt, like, this town ain't big enough for the two of us. Like, that's not what's happening. But like, a lot of the movies treated him like that. Like, only one person blasts buildings around in my town.
It's me and my son.
Picture like an 8-foot Godzilla with a little cowboy hat being like, "That's right, Paul, get him."
What was fucking Godzilla's son name? Was it like Manila or some dumb shit like that? It
Manila
wasn't a good name.
Manila Godzilla. No, Godzilla's kid's name. Fucking hell, it was Manila.
Oh god damn it.
Jesus Christ. It was Manila, and then there was Godzilla Jr. So he's got a few kids. It's clearly got a favorite, and it's not Manila. It's the one who got the family name. Oh, that's so
Oh,
stupid.
Godzilla be fucking so.
Manila is also called Minya, so he's got a couple names. That's so dumb.
Oh, except mini me. Um,
uh, what else?
yeah, look, in general, I actually just put the entire like I think it's like the second time when he rises from the water and attacks Tokyo at night, and like we just get a full on just the show stopping moment, if you will, to really see his destruction. And he just goes to town on the city, and I'm like, damn, this actually still looks really good for like 1954. This still holds up. Yeah, from rampaging to like the monster breath or the atomic breath to like taking out the tower as the guys are like, he's getting closer, but we're not going to stop filming. I'm like, get off the tower. He is coming for you.
I really liked when he attacked the train. I don't know how they pulled that off, but that looked really that looked really good. And the people screaming and like the train dangling from his mouth. Like shit, this
I wonder
guy's
if they
mean.
What if they just told the actor like, "Hey, can you put a train in your mouth?" He's like, "Jesus Christ, no."
I hope they didn't tell him like, you know, I hope maybe he mistook. Maybe he thought they said, "Can we run a train in your mouth?" And he was like, "No, God, no, absolutely not." It's like, all right, fine, we'll use the prop. Jesus, relax.
Wasn't expecting that reaction to that question.
Let me get that man a fan. He's clearly suffering from heat stroke and he's being kind of an ass. But yeah, it's an impressive, it's an impressive scene, and just really hammers home like A, how big this thing is, and B, how strong and unforgiving he is.
Yeah, yeah. He's just sorry. I'm so the way you emphasize ass was funny.
Like he's pictured that like he's walking away, but he wanted him to hear that.
But
Uh,
yeah, dude, yeah, like I said, it's that build up, right? They keep talking to you about like how destructive and all this stuff is, and then we finally see it, and it fucking it delivers. Like you get told all this, like, oh, he's destructive, he's huge, he's unstoppable, and then you get this, and you're like, holy shit, how are you going to stop this thing? Because he fucked you up in a night.
yeah, every movie they're always like, we have found some revolutionary way to defeat Godzilla, and then guess what? They don't. Every time. They've
Yeah.
never Godzilla hasn't stayed dead once. Not even in the Broderick one. There was a baby egg they forgot at the garden.
I do like this sheer confusion sometimes on Godzilla's face when they start to defeat him. Like he's like, "Huh? What? No, no, no."
I love when he walked through the power lines and he's just kind of like, ah, get it off.
It's bright. No. His little
Stings.
Godzilla arms. Ah.
He has like a hissy fit, and suddenly Tokyo's not afraid of him anymore. He just like, ah. They're like, oh no, no thanks. It's all it takes is one scary thing to do something stupid, and it's no longer scary.
I just love that idea of him looking just terrified. He just does and they go, ooh, ew, yeah, we're not scared anymore.
It's funny. I feel him. I picture Godzilla having like a therapy sesh with his doctor, and he's like, and they just weren't scared of me anymore. I don't know why I waved my hands like that. And his doctor's King Kong, and he's like, oh yeah, you're speaking to the choir here. I went ice skating with Naomi Watts in New York, and no one gave a shit about me anymore. It happens. Gee, it happens.
You don't always have good days, G.
Hey, why don't we collab again, like we did in the '60s, but bigger this time, huh? Maybe that'll work.
Yeah, I think they'll respect us more that way.
God, oh, that's funny. One scene that made me laugh because it was just so innocuous was early in the movie when before Godzilla showed up and the professor is like analyzing the beach and he picks up a little trilobite and he's like, "Huh, look at that. These things were extinct for millions of years, but here's one. Put it in the bag." Like he's not even that concerned. If you just found a creature that had been thought dead for millions of years and it's like in your hand, wouldn't you be a little bit more excited about that?
He's not only unfazed by that, but then the guy next to him is like, "Don't touch things with your bare hands. It's radioactive." And he's like, "Whatever."
Starting to think the real scientist got knocked out in the yacht and you just took his coat.
Yeah. He's like, "Oh, we're going to this island. I must investigate."
Just put radioactive sand in his pocket. Oh, look at this later. Just not even giving a shit. Yeah, that made me laugh. But yeah, overall, that's all I've got written down. But there's some solid scenes in this movie. What else you got?
Actually, put the underwater climax in general, because again, for 54, like it looks good. I did like the shot of Godzilla just kind of looking at these underwater, like, who the fuck's down here? Disturbing me.
I do love if you. I want. We've never really gotten the Godzilla movie through Godzilla's eyes.
I would love that. Like everyone is an inconvenience to him.
It's basically like the equivalent of walking to your fridge when you've like got an ant problem and you're just kind of stepping around the ants, but eventually you're just like, oh fuck it, and you just start stepping on the ants. I'll clean my feet later. I want a sandwich. Like that's Godzilla with Tokyo every time.
Because it was like there used to not be whatever the fuck is on the ground here.
Yeah.
Used
And
to just be land.
sometimes the ants will bite you, but you'll be like, ugh, and you'll kick them. They can't actually do anything to you. They're an ant.
Until he's had enough, and then he unleashes the atomic breath. He's like, Jesus Christ, leave me alone.
And that's you getting the can of Raid. I would love a movie where it's Godzilla's perspective and he's just like, oh, fucking Tokyo again with their big lasers and their missiles. And they're like, dude, I'm going to heal in 5 seconds. Why do you keep trying?
You guys kill me for good, and I just come back. I don't know why we keep doing this charade.
But then, Ghidorah shows up and something and he's like, those are my ants. Get away from my ants.
No, what if like he's just begrudgingly helping? Like every time they're like, "Look, gee, we need you here. Rodan's killing us," and he's like,
I,
"I was
I,
on vacation. Okay, fine."
only Kong gets to call me G. Thank you very much. But fine. This time, fine.
Right? We know you're on vacation. Yes, and you're ruining it. What now?
Godzilla's like deep under the ocean. He's got like a couch, a TV. He's watching Perry Mason because he's a big Raymond Burr fan. And he gets a phone call. It's Tokyo. Hey, we got a space monster. It's like, didn't you fire me? Yeah, but come on.
Yeah,
What are we gonna do? Build a robotic version of you that goes haywire every time we need to use it?
he's like, it happened again, didn't it? You both it went haywire and it yes. Could you fight it again?
Did you fucking use Ghidorah's cells again? Is that why? Yeah, he hates me. He hates you too. Of course he's gonna go ape shit. Yeah, I warned you.
What do you mean there's a smog monster? What the fuck? How's that possible? You know what? I'll go look. Now I'm curious.
What the hell's a Gigan? I mean he's got a gut. I'm not fighting no fat monster. He hangs up. They call Mothra. Mothra's like, gee, where are you? Like, damn it, Moth, we talked about this. Kong only.
And what if like Mothra, he's like, oh, Mothra's out? Oh, you didn't say that. He gets all like dressed to impress.
I would love. He's like Mothra goes to hang up, but before she hangs up, he's like, "Yeah, Rodan, yeah, G's being a dick. It's on us." And he hangs up. G's like, "If you're gonna be like that, fucking fine." And he shows up begrudgingly. I want this movie so bad.
A
Uh,
Godzilla that just does not want to fucking help, but he keeps getting enlisted to help in Tokyo's problems.
he keeps getting shamed by the other monsters. Sometimes we all have to take one for the team. G.
Well, maybe we'll go talk to your American cousin, G. Don't you call him that.
I feel like Zilla would be in like some kind of group home for the mentally impaired.
What? What if what if he just keeps Zilla in like a dungeon in his house just for it to fuck with every so often when he has to feel good about himself?
He's his bitch.
Yeah.
Ah, Jesus. I want this movie today.
Yes. And he currently does not fuck with the current MonsterVerse Godzilla. Even he's like, yeah, no, I'm good on that one. He can take care of America.
He just collects the check.
Just
He sold his likeness to America, and he's just more than happy to not have to show up for like mall openings and shit like that.
Yeah. He's like, no, no. They're like, hey, we have to sing. No, no. I sold my likeness. They have it covered. They're good.
Uh, all right. Well, with
Hey,
that,
so do you want to be big and scary again and like just destroy people? And you go, God damn it. Is it Tokyo again? Yes. All right.
what do you mean again? I'm still big and scary. I just don't give a fuck about that town anymore.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Um, Let's take a look at what Letterboxd has to say on our final segment. What's in the box?
What's in the fucking box? Give me the gun.
Godzilla has a 4.0 out of 5. That's pretty fucking awesome.
That's high praise.
And it's high praise. A lot of these
That's
were
monstrous praise, if you will.
very nice.
Thank you.
I have 4 reviews here, 1 positive and 3 negative. A lot of the negative reviews were like, it's not even in English. And yeah, so I don't value those opinions.
Well, that version exists if you really want to sit through that one.
This first one's from Ramobo. It's 4 stars. Why doesn't anyone ever listen to the prophecies of doom from the old guy with the 1,000-yard stare? Good point.
He does make a good point. Everyone just calls it the crazy guy, and like horror films and on genre films in general have taught me that that guy is the one you want to listen to. They always seem to be right.
Pretty much. This next one's from Bry. Hate to call a woman dramatic, but oh my God, that girl needed to calm down. 2 stars.
Felt like she was pretty calm in
Yeah,
light of everything happening.
that seemed like some projection, but this next one's from Lily. Why would you go in the water after you saw Godzilla was in the water? Half a star.
I mean, that's a fair point. I want to go in the water.
I don't go in the water now, and I'm like 80% sure Godzilla's not down there.
It's like when I lived in Florida, you know what I didn't do? Go in the water because it's fucking Florida. I don't trust it.
Yeah. If it's not a monster, it's going to be the fucking a used needle that gives you AIDS or something.
Yeah, and if it's not that, it's a gator. You take your pick.
Yeah, you're basically putting your life in your hands anytime you get in the water in Florida. And this last one's from Simon Evans. Hard to even give marks to something as poor as this movie. The 2014 Godzilla chews this one up and spits it out. The famous Japanese monster from the depths with a broomstick stuck up its arse. Too many pork pies for this Godzilla. The same collapsing building used over and over. The acting that is simply not up to the 1950s sci-fi greats. This line had me rolling. Love these types of movies, but not this one. Half a star. I love that he spends the entire review shitting on him. Then he's like, but I do love these.
Sounds like a cuck. And I say that because, and again, look, I do enjoy 2014 Godzilla, but again, because of what the sequels gave us, it has aged the worst. And I say that because Godzilla 2014 is a lot like being, to me, the definition of what those who are into that kink of cuckolding is. It's showing you what you want and then pulling the fuck away. You are not actually doing anything. You are watching and then probably getting told to look away at some point. Because it does that a lot in that film. Like, hey, here's Godzilla and away. This film from 1954, it builds it up and it gives you Godzilla. It gives you what you want.
It gets you off at a nice refined pace.
It gets you off. You're not in a bad cuckold relationship. You're in a good one where you're getting off and not actually just getting openly cheated in front of you.
Keeping the metaphor alive, I feel like the 98 Godzilla is a peg sesh you did not sign up for.
Yeah, this is you told your wife, let's spice up the love life.
Yep.
And she had a way different idea than what you had.
You passed out due to something you drank that may or may not have been introduced into your system. You wake up tied to the bed, face down, and all you see is a shadow of something you didn't think could fit inside of you, but lo and behold, it can.
So your wife is satisfied. You're not.
Yep, that is what happened in 98. So you went back to Toho. Because they were safe.
Yeah, which actually makes the whole bad cuckolding thing a great metaphor because they're like, oh, we'll give it to you. Basically, we're going to fuck you in front of you. You don't touch. Don't you dare get off.
Jesus Christ. Oh, this was fun. I enjoyed talking about Godzilla. I'm looking forward to doing. We could do episodes on all of them at some point. I know we'll probably go back to the Godzilla well again.
Yeah, I doubt this will be the only time. There's over 30 films.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about here. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. If you like the show, feel free to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and X at Filmgazm Productions. If you want to suggest films for us to check out, you can email us at filmgazm@gmail.com or send us a message through our socials. Check out our Letterboxd accounts for daily reviews. You search for me at Connor95, and in my friends list, you can find the rest of the team. Check out our website, filmgazm.com, where I have a link to my Letterboxd if you want to read my reviews. You can also find articles, trailers of upcoming films in every episode of our show. If you'd like to become a monthly donor to Filmgazm Productions, feel free to click on the link in the episode description. From there, click on Support This Podcast. You can choose to donate $1 a month, $5 a month, or $10 a month, and all donations go right back into the show. We greatly appreciate it. Thanks to the entire Filmgazm team for their contributions. Thanks to Cooley Cow for our awesome theme music. And thanks to you for checking out the show. Next week, we are discussing, in my opinion, one of the scariest films of all time. An American diplomat is warned by a priest that his young son, Damien, is actually the physical manifestation of the Antichrist, and if he isn't killed, the end of the world is nigh. Can Ambassador Robert Thorne uncover the truth about his son and summon the courage to destroy him in order to save the world from the wrath of hell? Next week, we discuss the 1976 horror classic, The Omen, in honor of the hopefully terrifying prequel, The First Omen, which hits theaters next Friday. I love The Omen, and I'm so excited to talk about this again. This is one of the freakiest movies I've ever seen. Just really realistic and unnerving, and it's going to be fun. And I really hope the new one sells.
Yeah, the new one actually looks pretty good for being I'm so far been impressed with the marketing for it. And yeah, I love the original. It's a bona fide classic. I'd love to do that episode. But I've had some personal stuff pop up that I'll be taking care of, so I look forward to listening to it when it comes out, once I take care of this some stuff that is happening in my life right now.
Yeah, no worries, man. Godspeed with that. Colton and I have got it in the bag. It's going to be a fun episode. And the new one recently revealed that it nearly got an NC-17 rating that it had to trim down. So that means they're going hard on this movie. So the more I hear about it, the more I get excited. It's the exact opposite of The Exorcist Believer.
Yeah, it's doing what it's like they've heard the complaints and went, oh, we'll give you that exorcism type film that pushes the goddamn boundaries.
It's going to be a blast. In the meantime, take heed in this lovely testament to human nature. There's a church in Tucson, Arizona, with the phrase, "Happiness is submission to God," painted on the side. Some lovely soul graffitied the word Zilla on the end of it, so that the church now reads, "Happiness is submission to Godzilla," and I couldn't agree more. Take it easy, keep watching movies, and we'll see you next time.